The Rock Ship of Masuda in Japan is a mysterious and massive stone you won't believe exists until you see it with your eyes. One of the most amazing things about our ancient ancestors was their ability to move the immovable and carve the impossible. The stones these prehistoric people crafted are so massive that modern engineers and scientists still have no idea how they were moved or lifted. We mean these are the large stones that cranes like Big Carl still can't lift. Let's kick off things with Number 15. Unfinished obelisk of Aswan. This obelisk in Egypt is just an out-of-this-earth creation. This colossal granite monument is still attached to the quarry floor in Aswan. Had it been completed, it would have stood around 137 feet tall and weighed roughly 1,160 to 1,200 tons, somewhere between 2.3 to 2.6 million pounds. It was being carved during Queen Hatshepsut's reign, but once large cracks appeared, the entire project was halted. You can still clearly see the tool marks and the pits where workers used round stone hammers to chip the obelisk free. So why does it remain in place? Well, it was never finished or detached from the bedrock. Maybe the scale was simply too ambitious, and they realized it couldn't be removed without breaking. The obelisk was never raised, never transported, just left where it was. Today, it's a rare glimpse into what might have been, a snapshot of ancient construction interrupted mid-task. And even now, moving something this size out of that trench would be almost impossible, even with today's most advanced cranes and gear. Number 14. Trilithon blocks. At the base of the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, there are 3 limestone blocks known for their staggering size, called the Trilithon. Each block measures roughly 64 feet long, more than 14 feet high, and weighs between 750 to 800 tons. And they're not lying on the ground. Somehow, these stones were placed nearly 20 feet up inside a retaining wall. Even now, with advanced equipment, lifting just one of these would be an engineering feat. For comparison, elite cranes like the Liebherr LR13000 can lift around 3,000 tons, but that's under perfect conditions and typically for smaller compact loads. Moving and placing an 800-ton stone with precision like the Romans did isn't something that can be casually replicated today. Most scholars believe the blocks were quarried slightly uphill, then transported into position using dirt ramps, rollers, and lever systems. There's no definitive plan for how it happened, but the stones are there, locked in place for 2,000 years, untouched since the day they were set. But did Romans really do that? Number 13. Stone of the Pregnant Woman. Also in Lebanon is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, still resting in the same quarry near the Temple of Jupiter, and it outweighs even the Trilithon blocks. It measures 68 feet in length, 14 feet in width, and weighs close to 1,000 tons. Since its construction, the stone has never been moved. It cracked either during or shortly after extraction, which likely rendered it useless for construction, yet it's not the only one. Even larger blocks are buried nearby, including one estimated to weigh more than 1,600 tons. The name comes from a local tale. A pregnant woman allegedly promised to move the stone if the people kept feeding her until she gave birth, which, unsurprisingly, never happened. That's the origin of the name, not the purpose. Researchers believe the stone was meant for the same platform as the Trilithon, but the fracture probably made it unfit. What's astonishing is how cleanly these stones were cut. Even today, we still don't fully understand how they planned to transport something this size without modern machinery. Number 12. Forgotten Stone. Just when it seems Baalbek couldn't possibly hide anything bigger, archaeologists back in 2014 found a stone even larger, right beneath the already huge Stone of the Pregnant Woman. This third block, now referred to as the Forgotten Stone, weighs about 1,650 tons. That's over 3.3 million pounds. It measures about 64 feet in length, 20 feet in width, and 18 feet high. To this day, it's the largest stone ever carved by human hands, and yet it looks like the builders started cutting it out and then abandoned it. Its underside is still fully connected to the bedrock. There are no wedge marks, no signs it was ever close to being moved. That sparked a lot of debate. And yes, pun fully intended. But seriously, the real question is why it was left unfinished. The stone sat buried beneath centuries of debris, and because it's still fused to the quarry floor, we have no idea what method they intended to use for extraction, or if they ever had a real plan. Number 11. The Thunderstone. The Thunderstone was found in a marsh near the Gulf of Finland in the 1700s and became the foundation of the iconic bronze horseman statue in St. Petersburg. In its original state, it weighed around 1,500 tons, which we mean is over 3.3 million pounds. During transport, it was trimmed down to roughly 1,250 tons, yet it remained one of the heaviest objects ever moved by human effort without the aid of modern machinery. The stone is made of Rapakivi granite, a type native to the region. Unlike regular granite, this one has large rounded crystals and tends to fracture more easily. That crumbly texture made shaping and hauling it especially risky, since one wrong move could have ruined the whole block. Nearly 400 workers dragged it more than 3.5 miles over soft, swampy terrain using wooden rails and ball bearings to roll it forward. After that, it was floated across the Neva River. The entire operation took nearly 2 years, and it was one of the most grueling and careful transports ever recorded in history. Number 10. Stone of the South. This ancient megalith is much heavier than even the pregnant woman. It measures around 19.5 to 20.5 meters long, roughly 4.3 to 4.5 meters high and wide, and weighs about 1,242 tons. That makes it larger than anything the Romans or maybe God knows who transported. It still lies untouched in the quarry. Many think it was either too big to move or damaged during the process. It's just a few hundred meters from where the Trilithon and pregnant woman stones were cut. Like the others, it was probably meant for the same platform, but for some reason the Romans never completed the task. Some modern cranes can technically lift 1,200 tons, but only under flawless conditions. First of all, the ground needs to be level. This stone is half buried and tilted, nowhere close to ready for lifting. Even if a cable could be attached, just getting a crane into this rugged quarry and setting up would be a nightmare, possibly more complicated than the lift itself. Number 9. Ramesses II Statue. What remains of the statue of Ramesses II are shattered sections, but even in pieces, it's super colossal. The fallen torso alone weighs around 1,000 tons and would have stood about 60 feet tall when it was whole. It originally stood outside the Ramesseum, a vast temple complex built by Ramesses II, who ruled Egypt for 66 years and constructed nearly everything in his name on an enormous scale. The statue was carved from a single granite block that wasn't sourced locally. It came from Aswan, nearly 110 miles away. Between that and Luxor lies rugged terrain and the Nile River. Many scholars believe the statue may have broken during an earthquake, though others suspect it was deliberately dismantled by later rulers or looted for building material. Even now, the craftsmanship is extraordinary. The detailing on the face and headdress is still visible despite the damage. And there's still debate over how this statue was originally raised, because even today in 2025, moving something this heavy in one piece would be nearly impossible. Number 8. Western Stone. Inside Jerusalem's Western Wall tunnels is a stone that's somehow both overlooked and big. It's about 45 feet long, 11 feet high, and around 6.5 feet thick, with estimates placing its weight at about 660,000 pounds. What makes it great is that it isn't just lying there, it's part of the wall fitted among other stones. It belongs to what's known as the Great Course, a section of foundational stones dating back to King Herod's time, over 2,000 years ago. These stones were set without mortar. They were cut and placed so perfectly that some joints are tight enough to block even a sheet of paper. No one's entirely sure how they managed it, but the leading theory involves livers and wooden rollers. The stone is wedged in so tightly underground that it wasn't accurately measured until the 1980s using ground-penetrating radar. To this day, it remains one of the largest building stones ever used in ancient architecture, and we still don't fully know how. Number 7. Qua de La Manga. Qua de La Manga. located in Antequera, Spain, is one of 3 massive megalithic mounds in the region. Its main feature is a huge capstone at the entrance, estimated to weigh between 160 and 180 tons. The chamber itself is supported by 3 stone pillars and has the largest known interior of its kind in Europe, measuring about 25 meters long and 6 meters across at its widest point. What's even more intriguing is the structure's alignment. The mound faces directly toward Peña de los Enamorados, a mountain shaped like an upturned human face. Many believe the location and orientation were intentional, possibly spiritual or symbolic. In recent years, archaeologists discovered a 30-meter deep well carved directly into the bedrock inside the chamber, and it still contains water. Everything about this site suggests a level of engineering far beyond what we usually attribute to prehistoric builders. From the massive stones to the detailed underground work, it's a striking example of ancient precision and intent. Number 6. Colossi of Memnon. The Colossi of Memnon are 2 enormous statues that have stood in the Egyptian desert for over 3,000 years. Each one rises about 60 feet high, roughly the height of a 6-story building, and weighs around 720 tons. While 720 tons may seem lighter than other entries here, that's still about 1.4 million pounds. What makes them especially impressive is that they were carved from single blocks of quartzite sandstone, and that stone didn't come from nearby. It was sourced from a quarry near Cairo, over 400 miles away. Moving something this massive across desert terrain was no small feat. The statues were originally part of a massive mortuary temple built for Pharaoh Amenhotep III, most of which has since disappeared. For centuries, the northern statue was said to produce a strange whistling or humming sound at sunrise. Ancient Greeks and Romans even traveled to hear it. Scientists believe it was caused by cracks in the stone reacting to temperature shifts, but it's wild how consistently it was reported. Number 5. Dolman of Manga. This is one of the oldest and most remarkable prehistoric engineering feats in Europe. Built about 5,700 years ago, the site consists of 32 stones, with the largest weighing over 150 tons. These stones were excavated, dragged almost half a mile, and stacked by hand, most likely over generations. The heaviest stones came from a nearby hill. Instead of rolling them on logs, which is commonly assumed, they were moved across compacted earth using wooden sleds and stone rails. Temporary roads were essentially created just to shift them. Archaeologists have found grooves in the ground that align with the sled paths. Inside the structure, the stones weren't simply placed at random. The vertical stones were intentionally tilted inward, helping support the heavy ceiling slabs and prevent collapse. The whole thing shows meticulous planning and adaptation, especially considering the scale and tools available at the time. Number 4. Elen Ladrellado. Elen Ladrellado is a remote plateau in the Andes, marked by an astonishing arrangement of 233 massive rectangular blocks. Some of these stones measure between 12 to 16 feet high and stretch 20 to 30 feet in length, with several weighing hundreds of tons. The blocks are arranged geometrically, forming what looks like a stepped amphitheater. At the center of the site, 3 upright stones each stand around 3 to 4 feet in diameter. When measured, 2 of these stones are aligned perfectly with magnetic north, a line drawn from one of those through the 3rd point directly to the midsummer sunrise. That level of alignment is difficult to write off as chance. The site also contains massive stone benches, some weighing up to 10 tons, similar to those found at Tiahuanaco. Whether ceremonial, astronomical, or something else entirely, Elen Ladrellado's purpose remains unclear, but the layout, size, and symmetry of these stones show that whatever built this wasn't done without deliberate thought and considerable skill. Number 3. Sakahuan. Sakahuan sits just north of Cusco on a leveled mountaintop in the Andes. The largest stones here tower at 28 feet high, or 8.4 meters, and while most estimates place them at over 120 tons, others suggest weights up to 300, 361, or even 440 tons. The site features 3 massive outer walls stretching 1,500 feet long and 54 feet wide. These surround a paved area containing a circular stone formation believed to function as a solar calendar. One of the wall blocks is cut with 12 interlocking faces that perfectly join with adjacent stones. Others feature up to 36 sides, all shaped and set with no visible mortar. The precision is so exact even a feeler gauge can't slide between the stones. Located on the edge of the ancient Inca capital, Sakahuan stands as a monument to engineering that defies explanation, constructed with detail and accuracy still unmatched in modern masonry. What do you think about it? Let us know. Number 2. Bajier Dolman. The Bajier Dolman, near Saumur in France, features the country's largest capstone, even though it now lies shattered into 4 massive fragments. Despite its broken condition, it remains one of the most physically imposing megaliths in France. In terms of sheer size, it surpasses the better-known Browns Hill capstone, though both are estimated to weigh roughly the same. This dolmen is part of the larger group known as the Lower Dolmens, a cluster of prehistoric structures built with stones weighing anywhere from 50 to 100 tons. The capstone, originally carved with care, would have been positioned atop upright slabs to form the chamber's ceiling. Even broken, its volume speaks to the scale of labor and planning involved in its creation. These monuments weren't just stacked, they were engineered with intent, designed to last and remain a key part of France's ancient stone legacy, where scale and craftsmanship went hand in hand. Number 1. Ganghwa Dolmans. South Korea has the largest concentration of dolmens in the world, with over 30,000 of them, representing roughly 40 to 50% of all dolmens globally. On Ganghwa Island, several of the largest examples can be found, including one that holds the title for the biggest recorded stone in South Korea. That particular dolmen measures roughly 2.6 meters high, 7.1 meters long, and 5.5 meters wide. While some reports overstate its weight, more grounded estimates place the capstone at around 300 tons. The dolmens were likely constructed as burial sites, though their exact purpose still sparks debate. What's certain is the scale of the labor involved. These stones weren't carved with modern tools, yet they were somehow lifted, transported, and placed with care and symmetry. Some of the dolmens rest on upright stone pillars, balancing caps that weigh more than fully loaded freight trucks. The island's dolmen sites remain a lasting tribute to prehistoric engineering. All that said, I've been your host Moby, and I'll catch you later.